Welcome to the Leader Impact Podcast. We are a community of leaders with a network in over 350 cities around the world, dedicated to optimizing our personal, professional, and spiritual lives to have impact. This show is where we have a chance to listen and engage with leaders who are living this out. We love talking with leaders, so if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions to make this show even better, please let us know. The best way to stay connected in Canada is through our newsletter at leaderimpact.ca or on social at LeaderImpact. And if you're listening from outside of Canada, check out our website at leaderimpact.com. I'm your host, Lisa Peters, and our guest today is Larry Long Jr. Larry is the founder and CEO of LLJR Enterprises. He's a motivational speaker, MC, sales trainer, and coach focused on motivation, inspiration, and most importantly, transformation. Larry is the host of the weekly live show Midweek Midday Motivational Minute, which has 300 plus episodes, and author of the book Jolt, Get Zapped into Intentionality. Rediscover and believe in your inner greatness. Recognized as a 4 times top sales influencer by Salesforce, Larry is a sales and revenue acceleration expert and serves as a LinkedIn influencer and sales thought leader. As a former college athlete who played baseball for University of Maryland, go Terps, Larry is extremely passionate about serving and helping professional and leaders take their game to the next level. Welcome to the show, Larry Long Jr.
Oh my goodness, Lisa, the check is in the mail. What an amazing intro. Happy to be here with you.
Well, you came highly recommended to speak to you, and I can see why. We've had a little bit of a discussion before, and my cheeks hurt already. So I'm thank you. I'm blessed to have you. I'm so great. With gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're a baseball player.
Former. Yeah. I played baseball growing up, and it's funny. It taught me so much. Teamwork and setting goals and overachieving, and failure is not final, but it's learning the lessons learned as well as lessons earned, I think they call them.
So you're a comedian as well.
A wannabe and out of work comedian.
Yeah. If anyone's watching this on YouTube, he's got props. Yeah. So Larry, I'm excited to jump in and hear more about your journey of how you got to where you are today. And you already talked about this being a baseball player and what you learned from that, but really those pivotal moments that got you where you are today on your journey.
Yeah. After college, I worked for a company called Accenture doing IT consulting. And it was, quote unquote, the dream job for most. For me, it was not a dream job. I enjoyed the travel. I enjoyed the people that I worked with, a lot of bright people, but just something in my heart, I wasn't fulfilled with the work that I was doing. Some of the clients that I had, America Online, if you remember AOL and Verizon, they were big clients, but the work wasn't meaningful. And I pretty much said, is this what my life is supposed to be? I'm helping these billion-dollar companies make even more billions by eliminating people's jobs. And my heart really spoke to me that, no, that's not your purpose on this earth. So I ended up moving from DC, Maryland, Virginia, doing the consulting to open up an indoor baseball and softball academy, sewing into the lives of youngsters through the game of baseball and softball, teaching life skills. We call them the fundamentals. Capital F-U-N. I don't know if you can tell, but I like to have fun and really honing in on the basics of baseball, softball, but more importantly, life. And that's what's led me. I had a 16-year career after my baseball academy failed, 16-year career in sales, software sales. And I was blessed a little over 5 years ago to step into my own business as a motivational speaker. You mentioned it, CEO, that's Chief Energy Officer. I'm not your traditional CEO, but I'm an MC. I'm an author of a book, a coach, a trainer, just living my best and my blessed life.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I loved when you said the job you first got was most people dreamed of. I have been in positions where it's like, how could you not take this job? It's the best job. How could you leave their job? And it's like, yeah, but it's not for me. I'm not finding something fulfilling out of this. So I appreciate that because everyone thinks it's the best job you're doing. You know, you're making the money, but I'm not happy. So what can I do? And I love that you talked about and not that I love, that sounds bad, but you talked about the academy and that it failed. And because we're going to talk about failures a little later, but I think you learned a lot. I mean, I'm hoping you'll share more, but learning from failure, right? We never fail, we learn, and we take that to the next thing in our life. So
So true. So true. And
yeah,
life, when you look at life's journey, I think they call it a journey line, the ups and the downs, the
yeah,
highs and the lows, the twists and the turns. As I've gotten older, I've realized to really enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, enjoy all that happens. I'm going to be vulnerable. Last year, Q2 and Q3 were very tough financially, but they were some of the most fulfilling from a
mm,
learning about myself, being able to trust in myself that I can persevere, and really showed the people in my life that are there to support me, that I don't have to do it alone. Like I've thought that I've had to do it alone to be Superman. I don't need to be Superman.
yeah,
I can be Superman by asking other people for help. I work with a coach and she said, Larry, healthy people ask for exactly what they want. And at that point, I wasn't healthy. I was afraid to ask because
mhm,
I thought it was a sign of weakness. And I've learned and I've grown and I continue to learn
yeah,
and grow through this journey.
yeah. And I think when we didn't say this out loud, but you have two children, and your children are watching you, right?
That's
Like
right.
they're watching dad go through a low time and really um, getting through it, and they see that, and that's our legacy. Our kids are watching us. So thank you for sharing that. So before I get into failures, because I'm excited here, but I want to talk about your best principle of success. So if you have one, and tell us a story that illustrates that.
Yeah. The best principle of success in my life is relationships. And I learned from a sales guru, Steve Nudelberg down in South Florida. He said, Larry, what I've learned is the difference between contacts, people you know, and contracts, people you do any kind of business with. It's the letter R, and that R is relationships, true, genuine relationships. Because there's a saying that people like to work with and refer folks that they know, they like, they trust, and they believe in. And I found that throughout my life. There's a saying, help me out, Lisa. It's not what you know, but it's
Who you know?
in my Steve Harvey Family Feud voice, survey says, nerd. That's a
Oh,
traditional saying, but I'm not traditional. It's not what you know, and it's not even who you know. What
yeah.
I found is it's who knows you,
Mm,
who likes you, who trusts you, and who believes in you that makes things happen. And the perfect example, as a motivational speaker, the majority of my business comes from word of mouth. Someone
mhm,
heard me, they like me, they might even love me, they trust me, they believe in me, and they tell their friends, oh, you've got to check out Larry Long. He's going to motivate, he's going to inspire, he's going to transform your audience, and he does it with a genuine authenticity that actually gets results. Relationships for the win. And we all know this, but what I found is that knowing isn't always doing.
yeah. This makes me think of because we talk about mentorship and sponsorship is taking that person's name into the room that they're not in. And so that's, like, are they going to say something good about Larry Long Jr. when they go into that room and go, oh my gosh, he was such a great motivation. He inspired me. So what are they saying about you? What are they taking into that next room? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
his energy is. I think in the words of the great philosopher Aristotle. No, it wasn't Aristotle. It was J.J. Walker. His energy is dynamite, and he's gonna lift up your audience. You got to give him a try. So I've been truly fortunate with those relationships.
Yeah. Good for you. Um, makes me think more of all the relationships I need to build. Contacts versus contracts. I love that. Thank you. Now we jumped into a little bit of failure, but I want to hear more about failing because we all know we learn more. Those lows, we learn more. We learn more.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So can you share one? Can you share a failing or a failure and what you learned from it?
Which one do I pick? I wrote a whole chapter in my book. It's
Oh,
strikeouts. They're a part of life because I've struck out on the baseball field. I used to play slow pitch softball. I struck out in softball. How does that happen? I've struck out in relationships, in love, in life, in business. My biggest failure, my biggest learning lesson was my baseball academy, which was my baby. It was my baby before I had babies. Being able to teach youngsters the game that I love and the game of life. Unfortunately, we ran out of cash. And what I learned is that if you run out of cash, you run out of business. And if you don't know the numbers that matter in business, We knew batting averages, stolen bases, home runs, but we didn't know the income statement, the balance sheet, the statement of cash flows. You're going to go out of business. And we didn't ask for help. And what I learned is that if you're drowning silently, no one has the opportunity to help you. And it was the hero, it was the ego that stood in my way, as well as I call it FUD, not Elmer Fudd, but fear, uncertainty, and double doubt. So out of that experience, I learned, number one, if you're going to go into business, you need to know your numbers inside and out. Your accountant, your accounting professional, you need to ask the quote unquote stupid questions. At least for me, what does this mean? What does this all cash flows? What does that mean? Oh, you got more money going out the back door than you have coming in the front door. That's a problem, Larry. You need to make an adjustment and do something, as well as you need to ask folks for help. People want to help you. I worked with a coach who said, Larry, how do you feel when someone asks you for help? I light up. I say, well, I'm honored that Lisa would ask me for help. That's a privilege. She said, why would you be so selfish to not allow someone else to have that same feeling to help you out? My mind was blown. My perspective was changed. I'm now not selfish. I ask for help genuinely because I know that I need it and other people want to give it.
When you say that, I think of women who maybe were trying so hard and it's seen as a weakness. We feel weak. And I think what you're saying the same thing. I sometimes think we're alone. We think that we're the only ones, but we're not weak.
It takes strength.
Yeah.
To ask for help. It's and the perspective of I have to do this alone. I have to have the S on my chest of Superwoman.
Yeah.
Well, having that S on your chest is asking for help because you help everyone else, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors. You give so much. I'm a big believer that when you give, you've earned the right. I think they call it relationship equity. And sometimes people try to make withdrawals and they haven't made deposits. But I know that your listeners and your viewers are always depositing into other relationships. I know how that goes, yet they very rarely look to withdraw. I'm giving them permission. You got my permission to go ahead and ask for help and to make a withdrawal from those relationship banks that you've built over time.
Yeah. You mentioned silently drowning. I think a lot of people can feel that. You used the term "we had failed." Who was we in your? Did you have a partner? Was this your wife? Like who's we?
I had a business partner in my baseball academy. And that was another lesson that I learned with regards to relationships, the power of communication. And when you're in business, it really is similar to a marriage. And it takes work. It takes communication. It takes intentionality to make it work. And if both sides aren't committed, it's gonna create some challenges. But like I said, I learned my lesson. I'm actually in the process now of building a new offering with a partner, and we are putting it all on the line. We want to protect our friendship first, no matter what happens with the business. And we're committed to making sure that happens because when you start talking about money and you start talking about feelings and families, it can get a little bit dicey. They say never do business with friends and family. Well, we're going to go ahead and make this thing work.
And would you find this person you're working with is very diverse from you? Like when I think of, do they have a completely different mindset? Do they challenge you? Or are you guys just both on the same page all the time?
No, we are definitely, we complement each other, which is a great thing. And it also creates some friction, some conflict. And that's where the communication of making sure that we're open, we're honest. I think they call it radical candor, making sure that we're not bottling anything up because that's where resentment happens. But we're in the spirit of making this work. We're going to express exactly how we feel when we feel it. And we're both going to have respect at the center of everything that we do.
Yeah. We all, at times when we feel that the connection is not happening. We all need to step back. Okay, wait a minute. What part did I just play in this? Because we think they didn't understand me. Well, just step back for a minute. How did we communicate? So yeah, keeping those lines open. Thank you for sharing that. That was a great reminder. And the story of well, your stories are good. Strike out. I love that because we all strike out, just using the baseball analogy. So getting into Leader Impact, what we are about is we want to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually to have impact. So I'm wondering if you'd be willing to share an example how you promote the spiritual to make a practical difference in your life.
Yeah, so I speak from example. And when I was stuck, I wrote a book called Jolt, Get Zapped into Intentionality, Rediscover and Believe in Your Inner Greatness. I almost called it Unstuck because I was living in corporate America. Life was good, but it wasn't. I was rich financially. I was doing well, but I was so broke spiritually. My life just didn't have the meaning that I was put on this earth for a reason. And I realized it. And I was at a crossroads. Stay comfortable in my comfort zone and do the right thing, or do the right thing. And my mom, as wise as she is, she said, Larry, little Larry, I'll always be her little Larry. She said, you need to pray and pray harder and then do something that you rarely do. You need to be quiet and listen. When you listen, you now have the opportunity to learn. You now have the opportunity to get the direction, at least for me. And it was loud and clear. On March 26, 2021, my position was eliminated in corporate America. Essentially, I was fired. I got a severance, and there couldn't have been any clearer sign of what I was meant to do. And I wanted to be a professional speaker. I just didn't believe that was possible. Not for me. Yeah, I know people do it, but that's not my journey. Well, yes, it is, Larry. And I'm setting everything up. I had my first paid engagement March 17th of 2020 at the start of the pandemic. And I know you're like, hold up. Yeah, that was St. Patrick's Day and I'm not even Irish. So that prepared me for March 26th of 2021 when my position was eliminated, that this is my plan for you, Larry. It's your opportunity to step into it. Don't let me down. And I come from a family of service, a heart of service. And for me, this is an opportunity to really serve the world with my gifts. I've been practicing for 47 plus years, talking and serving and speaking. And now it's my profession. It's what I get to do each and every day, to serve others with my words, with my feelings, my emotions. So I've just been #too blessed to be stressed. It hasn't been all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns, but I can tell you it has been so fulfilling. And to be able to have my family along for the journey, it has been just amazing.
Yeah. You mentioned, so you mentioned one point, financially well off, and then you got let go, versus I think last year, Q2 and 3 were bad. When you think of how you felt, financially good, you got fired, Q2 and Q bad, no money. Do you remember turning to God and going, okay, and is it the same? Because those feelings are very different, right? Like, one, finance is important. It really is. And we have to believe that God can provide. and it's a struggle. So
there's a saying that you can't have faith and fear at the same time. And I've tested it.
Yeah.
I've tried. And what I realized is you can't. And as a believer, I've had faith. There's a book. My coach shared this book with me. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. And it's a great reminder of, so often people give up when they're this close. You're 3 feet from the gold. And I've committed that I will not give up. You can't stop a person that just will not quit. And I will not quit to make this happen. Now, I've had to make some adjustments. I've had to check my ego at the door, and I've had to get some lessons learned and lessons earned through this hard noggin. I'm hard-headed. But for me, just that trust in the Lord, for me, I know that he's going to bring me through. He's brought me through every situation that I've been through, and Lord knows I've been through some situations.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about listening to God. So you talked about in 2020, you had your first keynote, and then, there was a year. Then you got fired in 2021. So there was a year. Can you think of moments, did God ever drip on you like, look, I gave you this speaking engagement. You should start listening to me. And then finally, did you get fired and go, okay, I'm listening. But were there any times God talked to you between that year going, I'm telling you, you could do this.
There were plenty of them, but Lisa, I hate to say it, I was too busy talking and trying to figure it out on my own to listen. And it's by design. God doesn't make any mistakes. There's a reason why, for the most part, we've been blessed with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Think about it. We are supposed to listen 2 times more than we're supposed to talk. But like I said, I'm hard-headed.
Yeah.
I'm a rules breaker. And my wife, it was actually my wife in December of 2019. She said, hey, baby, you tell everyone else to follow their passion and pursue their dream. Look in the mirror. You're faking the funk. You put on this smile for a mile for external, but I see you when you come through the door and you are not happy. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
I said, uh-oh. And my mom, with her advice to pray and pray harder and to listen, that year of 2020, in the pandemic, I was stacked up with virtual, remote Zoom engagements where I was getting paid. I was being set up in a good way. God was showing me that there is a way so that when March 26th of 2021 hit, I was ready. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like I was starting from ground zero. I had already built the foundation so that I was prepared for that next stage. Now, I can tell you there's been a lot of lessons from that time. And sometimes you have to laugh to stop from crying. But what I've learned is it's not me alone. If I do it all alone, I will fail. If I pray and I listen and I follow God's plan for my life, I'm going to be great. It's going in the end. It doesn't mean that immediately, short term, everything's going to be awesome. That's not. But I realize in the long run, God's plan for me is it's the perfect plan. So trusting in that is tough, but life is tough. Choose your tough. Which tough do you want? You want the tough where you do it all alone, Superman, Superwoman, or do you want to trust and believe and follow God's plan for you? I choose the latter.
Yeah. I have to ask you about regret. Where do you put regret? Where do you place regret? I have learned long ago, I don't want to have any. I can't change that. I can do better. But I just listening to you, I'm like, we take what we learn and we move forward, because that's faith. So I would love to hear what you think.
I try to intentionally live my life with no regrets. Yeah. And I haven't always been that way because fear, at least for me, can get you stuck. For me, fear has frozen me in places where I wanted something, but I was so afraid of failure. Oftentimes for me, I'm a perfectionist. Well, up until now, I've been a perfectionist, but I realized it's never going to be perfect. And having those folks in my life that support me and encourage me and cheer me on, you got this, Larry. And in 2022, when I was writing my book, I learned a great lesson. My coach said, Larry, you're so optimistic, positive, uplifting with everyone else. But when we start talking about you and your book, you're so negative. You're a negative Nancy, a negative Nellie, a negative Ned. Why is that? And we unpacked it. And it came to the fact that it wasn't serving me. It might have served me before and probably not, but I thought that it did. What's serving me for my vision, for my goals, to support my family is for me to encourage myself. And that wasn't my natural tendency. My natural tendency was to beat myself up. But what I realized with intention is, Larry, uplift yourself, encourage yourself, trust in yourself, and you don't have to do it alone. You're going to be okay. So go for it. A good friend of mine, Melissa Murray Bailey, she used to be the chief revenue officer of a company called Hootsuite. They're a social media platform. She had a saying. I spoke at their sales kickoff in 2023. She had a saying called Giat. I said, is that the long lost cousin of the Fiat? She said, Larry, you're crazy. I said, I know. Some things never change. She said, no, Giat, give it a try. That was her motto for her team. Well, I'm thinking about Giat. Well, I want to Giat. So for anyone out there that's noodling, that's doodling, whether it's starting a business, whether it's asking for the raise, whether it's making that big, hairy, audacious goal, Giat, give it a try. You got this.
Love it. Oh, that was a great conversation. Thank you for just extending that conversation on how you do that and place your spiritual, and not even place, live it out every day. At Leader Impact, we are about leaders having a lasting impact. So obviously this is just every day. What are we doing? So as you continue to move through your journey of life, what do you want your faith legacy to be when you leave this world?
Yeah, I want everyone that I touch to realize that I didn't do it alone. And that for me, the spirituality, for me, my faith comes number one. And I encourage people to think about their priorities. For me, I've got 8 buckets: faith, spirituality, family, friends. The only one that I'm really, really good at, fun, finances, fitness, philanthropy. And I know there's spelling bee champions saying that doesn't start with an F. I spell phonetically and frenetically, sue me. And then career is that 8 bucket. And I ask people to think about, when you stack rank your 8 buckets and priorities, what are they? And then how do you grade yourself on each of those buckets with intentionality? And then for your top 3 buckets, what can you do? What action can you take to enhance your number? I thought that I was an 8 when it came to family. My coach said, why don't you ask your wife, Maria, and your 2 kids, Trey and Lucia? Trey said, Daddy, you're a 9. He knows who pays his allowance. Lucia, my daughter, she said, Daddy, you're a 5. I said, oh my goodness. Oh, yeah, stake in the heart. I said, why so high? She said, well, you take me to gymnastics every Monday. I do. She said, when I look up, because the parents sit on the 2nd floor, she said, when I look up, Daddy, you're looking down at your phone. So now that's my daughter giving me the encouraging eye to be present, to be at where your feet are at. So that's my encouragement for folks, is to be intentional. Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, and to enhance and really live in your big vision. We're put on this earth to do great things, to make great impacts. And my hope is that the impact that I make on everyone I touch, my family, my friends, is someone who did it the right way, who did it with sincere care, who didn't do it alone. And just, I'm hopeful that I pass that along.
Oh, yeah. I think many parents have been caught looking down and not living in the moment of, the daughters just looking up, or the son, is looking up like, hi, and you're looking down. That's a heartbreak. And so to hear it from your daughter, I'm sure that was a heartbreaking moment to go, I can do better.
It was that opportunity that was knocking on my door to make a change and to be better, so that I don't regret it, because time flies. We know this, but sometimes knowing isn't doing. So I've committed to doing, so that I don't have any regrets when I'm sitting on my deathbed saying, I wish I had lived in the moment of my daughter growing up, of my son growing up, and really been there, because you don't get those moments back again.
Yeah. And I would say that you can start now. Don't look back, because you can't change that. But you know what? Put the phone down now. Be intentional now. Yeah. Because my daughter's going to be turning 23, and it just got better. And I know that at times I was always working, and I had my own company. I was busy, and I forgot about them. So
your priority. What are your priorities? And for me, I'm one of my biggest and best accomplishments. I took my whole family to a speakers convention in Scottsdale last year. I'm taking them to an engagement in Portugal. So the international, with my family involved, it is just, it's a blessing. Like I said, I pinch myself every day, Lisa, just not too hard, because I don't want to wake up from this dream that I'm living. And if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah. Takes intentionality. Yeah. So my final question is for you is what brings you the greatest joy?
It's really seeing the smiles and the impact on people that I have, especially those that are closest to me. My son, my daughter, my wife, my family, as well as those that I have the opportunity to touch outside of my family, and just to share my joy, to share my gifts with them. And my gift is that I see so many gifts in other people. I see greatness in each and every person, sometimes when they don't even see greatness in themselves. I do have to give a shout out. My mentor, Dr. Willie Jolly, he shared this message in 2023. It was June of 2023. I'll never forget it. He shared this in a group of speakers, but the message was really for me. He said, sometimes we have to lean on the faith and belief that someone else has in us until ours kicks in. And I needed to hear that word from him because I know that for me, my God has faith in me. I'm more than a conqueror. And sometimes I need to lean on that. Oftentimes, I need to lean on that to jumpstart my internal belief that, yes, I can be great. I will be great. Let's get it in. Let's get it done. Show up and show out, Larry. So that's my encouragement. Someone needs to hear that. Yeah, lean on who you need to lean on until yours kicks in.
It's tough. It can be tough. And I think that's probably one of the greatest reasons I love Leader Impact is we are marketplace leaders who get together every week. And maybe some groups don't, but my group does online, and we encourage each other and we share because leadership is lonely. And if you don't have someone to talk to, you need to find someone. So if it's a coach or if it's a group of, like Leader Impact, and I'll share later how to join, but I am thankful for that because it's just impacted me my whole life. And I've been involved for, I think 12, 13 years in this group, which I've never been in something so long. So surrounding ourselves. And I think we realize you talked about smiling and making an impact on people. You don't realize who you're going to make an impact on today, Larry. You've impacted me. And so, I think when I look at you and I think when you look at a baby and you smile, I bet that baby lights up because they just love smiles. And they're like, I don't know. It's like, I look at you and I want to smile. So thank you for joining us today. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So if anybody wants to engage with you and find you and go, I want to hear more about Larry Long Jr., what's one of the best places, or do you have a couple?
Yeah, best place. They call me LinkedIn Larry. So please connect with me on LinkedIn, Larry Long Jr. You can also find me. I'm going to tell my story on my website, LarryLongJr.com. That's LarryLongJr.com. Please connect. I'd love the opportunity to serve, to support, to help you along your journey. I appreciate you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Larry. It has been a pleasure. All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. I want to thank everyone for joining us. If you're part of Leader Impact, you can always discuss or share this podcast with your group. And if you're not yet part of Leader Impact and would like to find out more and grow your leadership, find our podcast page on our website at leaderimpact.ca. You can also check out groups available in Canada at leaderimpact.ca, or if you're listening from anywhere else in the world, check out leaderimpact.com or get in touch with me at info@leaderimpact.ca and we will connect you. And if you like this podcast, please leave us a comment, give us a rating or a review. This will help other global leaders find our podcast. Thank you for engaging with us. And remember, impact starts with you.